reason tonight they're turning on Trump. We're going to go to the root of the rift. It's very important that you understand what those roots are. We're going to start off tonight with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've been around politics. I've been around the church. I've pastored people long enough to recognize the pattern. And the pattern is obvious for me as a pastor. I've seen it a million times. Someone gets offended. They get hurt. Anytime an animal gets hurt, they will lash out at you, even when you're trying to help them. Marjorie Taylor Greene is hurt, and hurt turns into offense. Offense turns into bitterness. It's so powerful. Bitterness turns into murder. John the Baptist was one of the greatest men of God that ever lived. But he got hurt at Christ because John went to prison for Christ. And the only one that never came to see him in prison was Christ. So John is sitting there saying, hey, I campaigned for you, Jesus. I'm the one that introduced you. I did all this for you, and here I am in prison. Something happened. Pastor Vaughn, how do you know that happened? Because of the results. It wasn't long after that that John the Baptist sent a message to Jesus and said to him, are you really the Son of God? Are you really our leader? Or is it time for us to look for somebody else? Whoa. Whoa. John, who do you think you are? Yep. John got hurt. He got offended. He got bitter. And now he's ready to become a traitor. Luckily, him and Jesus worked it out. Unfortunately, that's not happening with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's mad. I'm going to tell you why she's mad, why she got bitter, and then we're going to dig even deeper than that and help it all make sense for you. How can a woman that seemingly adored a man, fought for him, we'll give her that. From day one, she was on the Trump team. Do you know why I understand this? It's happened to me 1,000 times. As a religious leader, you get people that come in. They think you're a prophet of God. You're the greatest preacher they've ever heard. They're willing to lay down their lives for you. They're willing to fight. And I'm telling you, one day, they hate you. Literally hate you. Like, would kill you if they could get by with it. So I get it. What Marjorie is doing is so old. But for many of you, you don't comprehend it because you're not sitting in my seat. You don't know. But I know this pattern. I've seen it. Well, what happened was Marjorie rode the Trump train and believed that Trump train would make her the governor or the senator of Georgia. That was her long-term plan. Donald Trump is a businessman. He is a realist. He called Marjorie about a month ago. If you think Marjorie changed overnight, she did. She changed the minute she got that phone call from President Trump that says, hey, Marjorie, I'm looking at your poll numbers in Georgia. You're at 12%. I don't think I'm going to be able to endorse you with those kind of numbers because Trump doesn't like to be embarrassed. He's in it to win it. And Marjorie's not a winner. And I will not be endorsing you. That was her John the Baptist and Jesus moment. He's leaving her in prison basically as a congresswoman. That begins to percolate in her mind. Whoa, after all I've done for you, after how I've stood for you. And it began to take root in her heart. And anytime that happens, it opens you up for demonic influence to take over your mind. That's why the Bible says, if you have something against your brother, you go straight to them immediately. You don't think about it. You don't talk about it. You get it out. If not, it will fester and destroy your life. Do you know, out of everything I teach my church, that is the hardest thing for people? I would say 20% of my church obeys my teaching in that area. There's something in us that cannot go directly. We can't make a phone call. We're cowards. I don't know what the problem is. But Marjorie could not work this out with Trump, and therefore it began to consume her. So what you're seeing right now, the feud, the drama, and suddenly Trump has betrayed the people. No, Marjorie, you think he betrayed you, and you're equating yourself to the people. What you're looking at, my fellow American, is the byproduct of rejection, which is the breeding ground of bitterness, which is the launching pad of tyranny, traitory, murder, and mayhem, plain and simple. Now, let me tell you the difference in Trump and Marjorie. He's a president. He's governing. He's playing a different game than her. She's a member of Congress. Members of Congress survive on noise, attention, headlines. They have to be constantly relevant. They're like a shark. If they stop moving, they drown. But Trump, he don't need the noise. He doesn't need the shock waves. He doesn't need the drama because he's governing. He's executing his agenda. He's negotiating globally while she's negotiating camera angles. Trump is steady on his policy, but she is maneuvering for a future advantage. Now, that's not evil. That's just politics. But do not confuse ambition with principle, okay? She didn't grow this character of quality overnight. She didn't become this new person overnight. This is a chameleon that is trying to survive another day. Donald Trump has never moved 1 inch from the America First platform. Never. Not a breath, not a syllable. He is today what he was in 2016. He is the only man fighting the global machine. It is not Marjorie that can do that. It's Trump. She is the one that has shifted away, who has rebranded, who has pivoted to build a solo empire. But I said tonight we're going to go to the roots of the rift. I want to show you the real problem. There was something under there that caused what happened with her and Trump to receive demonic life. Why do I call it demonic life? Because there are evil influences in our minds that only take root when there is an underlying pattern of thinking that gives it life. And I found that root today. I'm going to play the root for you, and then I'm coming back to pull the roots out of the ground. All right? So watch this. I'm going to show you the real root of why all of them are turning on Donald Trump.
Israel bombed a Catholic church in Gaza, and that an entire population is being wiped out as they continue their aggressive war in Gaza. My amendment would strike $500 million in funding for nuclear-armed Israel's missile defense system. The U.S. already provides Israel with $3.8 billion annually in foreign aid. $3.8 billion, that's a lot of money. Additionally, the April 2024 security supplemental included $8.7 billion for Israel. Even though Israel, nuclear-armed Israel, has universal health care for their citizens and subsidized college for their citizens. They're able to provide that. However, here in America, we're $37 trillion in debt. My amendment will ensure an America First Department of Defense, and that is exactly what we need and we haven't had for a very long time.
You traitor. America First. Would you sit down somewhere and hush? Anyway, all right. I just played you the root. The root is one word. Israel. Here we are again. Everything goes back to Israel. Interesting, is it not? And you know, supposedly, Israel controls Donald Trump. I wonder why they couldn't control him today with the Saudi Prince of Saudi Arabia giving him planes. You know, everything goes back to Israel. That's the demonic foundation where all of these people are turning against Trump. It's the one word. Do you know Israel is the one word that is splitting this nation right down the middle? So let me start. Tonight we're going to college. I'm fixing to tear apart her arguments about Israel. I'm fixing to show you the truth, and when we get done, you will be educated. Let's start here. She's talking about how in debt America is. Can I give you an education tonight? Can I just jerk the curtain back for you? America needs to be in debt. Do you know what would happen to the world right now if America was debt-free? It would collapse. Do you not understand? I know I'm saying something you've never heard before. Let me explain something to you. And you need to hear this well. The debt of America. You and I have little peon brains, and we think of debt as the way we run our household. In our household, we are not able to create money. We spend money. We don't create money. We spend it. When we've spent all we have, now we're in debt. Okay? And we think that's how a nation operates, a sovereign nation. But you're missing something very key, are you not? The nation doesn't spend money. The nation prints money and creates money. They never run out of money. Until a nation never runs out of money until they run out of gross domestic product, the GDP. Let me break it down for you. I was in the meat business for 20-something years. Cattle. There were days when I would look at my ledger, my checkbook, my business, and I was broke, busted, disgusted, and in debt. Okay? Now, I know you're hearing something you've never heard before, but stay with me. And I would look at that ledger of being $20,000 in debt, and people would wonder why I wasn't worried, why I didn't care. I'll tell you why. Because I would go out to the warehouse, and there was something in that warehouse that made me no longer in debt. Do you know what it was? Inventory. That's right. As long as I had machines, as long as I had trucks, as long as I had inventory, it may look like I'm in debt, but I'm not, because I have more assets than I have debt. So I'm not in debt. The United States of America has more assets. We are producing. We are a producing nation. Our wealth is beyond countable. Our mineral wealths, our production, it's beyond counting, basically. Okay, so yes, we do have debt on record, but we still have more capacity than we have debt. So we need to understand that our debt is not like your debt. And I want to help you tonight to get this lie out of your mind that they're trying to tell you. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and a dozen others that were waving MAGA flags yesterday, today they're screaming, "Stop giving Israel our money." I'm here to tell you, my friends, it's not about the money. It's deeper. It's not about the politics or the foreign policy. It's spiritual. There is a spirit that's been unleashed upon this nation. You need to get my book, The Watchers Have Returned. It's free of charge on my website, hiscomingkingdom.com. You'll understand what's going on if you read that book. But tonight I want to get right to the jugular. Israel is dividing our party. Not taxes, not the border, not the Second Amendment, not even Trump himself, Israel. And here is the bomb. Israel has always been the dividing line throughout all of human history. Whenever God draws a line in the sand concerning who his covenant people are, men and women immediately divide into two separate camps: the covenant camp and the carnality camp. The covenant camp is those that understand the spiritual implications. The carnal camp is the ones that see surface level politics. There's two camps. Everyone watching me tonight, you live in one of two camps concerning Israel: the covenant camp or the carnal camp. Covenant, you see the spiritual. Carnal, you just see the surface level politics. But ladies and gentlemen, Trump did not change. He did not abandon MAGA. He did not sell out to the establishment. He simply did what every American president with any sense of history does. He stood with Israel. That's when Nick Fuentes got mad at him. And that's when all the rest, they gave him a little time thinking they could turn him from Israel. But they don't understand. God put a son-in-law in his family that kept reminding Donald Trump there is a covenant people. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was a MAGA warrior, she's screaming in that video, "Defund Israel." What happened? Do you think Marjorie suddenly discovered fiscal responsibility? Do you know that she did not mention Israel one time? Epstein was not mentioned one time out of Marjorie's mouth before this change. You think she just suddenly became fiscally responsible? Did she just now realize that we have a national debt? No. What she discovered is that right now, anti-Israel rhetoric gets clicks in the new algorithm. That's what she figured out. If you want your YouTube channel to take off, become anti-Israel. If you want if you're watching me right now, if you want to start a podcast and become popular, I'm going to help you. Go get a great thumbnail and put fake Jews on the thumbnail, and you'll become bigger than Professor Toto in 2 weeks. Okay? She figured that out. She discovered there's a whole audience of people on the far left and the far right. Many of them young, many of them confused, many of them with no theological concept at all, influenced by decades of replacement theology, Khazar conspiracy theories. Who will cheer when you attack Israel? She figured that out. She made a choice. Do you know what her choice is? She made that choice. And here is the choice she made. Trend over truth. Because right now the trend is anti-Israel. That's the trend right now. Anti-Israel. Algorithm over the Almighty. Candace Owens, same thing. Brilliant, bold, a powerful voice for conservatism for years. But the moment she started anti-Israel talking points, she became the #1 podcast in the world. Because carnal minds cannot see the covenant. They see money going to Israel. They see politics, foreign policy. They don't see Genesis 12:3, the Abrahamic covenant, Yahweh's prophetic timeline, the spiritual battle beneath the surface. There's 2 camps tonight. You're in the covenant camp or the carnal camp. You see Israel spiritually or you see them naturally. Nick Fuentes, same thing with the Groyper movement. Same thing. Tucker Carlson. The moment Israel entered the conversation, their carnal minds exposed themselves. So let's deal with it tonight. Stop giving Israel our money. Anyone that ever says that to you, and I'm not trying to be cruel, but I'm trying to get your attention tonight. Anyone that ever talks to you about stop sending Israel our money has just proven to you how dumb they really are. They're not able, I guarantee you, they cannot read a federal budget. They've never studied military strategy. They've never analyzed intelligence partnerships. They've never understood geopolitical alliances, and they've never opened a Bible. So I'm going to break it down tonight, point by point. I'm going to go through her video, all her false accusations about the money we send to Israel. And tonight we're going to court, exhibit by exhibit. So everybody watching me tonight, get ready. Come on, take notes. You're about to be the smartest people in the republic. We're going to prosecute Marjorie's case in front of a jury. You're the jury tonight. Because by the time I'm done, you will understand that cutting aid to Israel is not America first. It's America blind, broke, and bleeding. So let's start with the big lie. To do that, we have to go to exhibit number A. If you're in court tonight, let's start there. Exhibit number A. Okay? We're sending billions to Israel. That's the charge. No, we're not. No, we're not. She said we're sending $3.8 billion to Israel. You are a liar. No, we are not. 70% of that $3 billion of military aid to Israel, there is a law called military financing. That 70% of that money has to be spent in America. Not Tel Aviv, not Jerusalem, not Haifa, in America. 70%. Do you know with that 70%, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, American manufacturers that produce missiles, aircraft, technology, American workers that build weapon systems, American engineers that design the platforms, that money never leaves America. It's a Buy American Jobs program disguised as foreign aid. Let's go to Fort Worth, Texas. Lockheed Martin builds F-35 fighter jets in Fort Worth, Texas. Those billions of dollars that go to Israel, almost 100% of it, 3/4 of it, goes to Fort Worth, Texas. Some of it goes to Tucson, Arizona, to Raytheon manufacturer, Patriot missiles. They're made in Tucson, Arizona. Boeing, St. Louis, Missouri, gets a large chunk of that money. General Dynamics in Ohio and Michigan. You know what that is? American jobs, American factories, American paycheck. So when Marjorie Taylor Greene screams, stop giving Israel our money, what she's actually saying, fire American workers, shut down American factories, tank American defense manufacturing, weaken the American industrial base. If you're against American jobs, you're not conservative, you're confused. If you're against American manufacturing, you're not America first, you're America last. And if you think this money leaves America, you don't understand how foreign military assistance works. And that is Exhibit A. Now, Exhibit B. Let's cover the next lie. Israel gives America military tech. Do you know why? Because we had never developed that by ourselves. Let's talk about a return on investment. You've got to learn the difference in spending money and investing money. The money we send to Israel is not spent. It's invested, my fellow American. That's not charity. That's the best deal America has ever made. Here's what America gets from Israel. Are you ready? Technology that has saved thousands of American lives. Number one, the Iron Dome. Do you know who that was co-developed with? American companies. It's the most advanced missile defense system on Earth. 90% interception rate against rockets. America studied this system and used the data from their system to upgrade our Patriot missiles. That is worth billions of dollars in research and development that America did not have to pay for. No. Because we are allies with them, we studied their Iron Dome. They gave us their information, and that's how we protect our homeland without having to spend one dime on research and development for the Patriot missile program. What about David Sling? That defends against medium-range missiles. And now we have taken their technology. That's not our technology. That's their technology. And we have now put them in our own defense. And Israel has tested that in real combat, so we didn't have to. That's called research and development. Billions of dollars we do not have to spend. What about the Arrow missile defense? That intercepts ballistic missiles in space. It protects them against Iranian and Syrian threats, and then they share that data with our military, and we integrate their technology that we don't have to develop. Does that not make sense to a business mind? What about drone warfare technology? Israel pioneered modern combat drones. And what did we do? We took their technology free. They shared it with us. And we shared it with the NSA, the CIA, and the U.S. Cyber Command. Israel military doctors revolutionized combat trauma treatment. Techniques that are now used by U.S. military medics worldwide. They've saved countless of American lives in Iraq and Afghanistan by what we learned from Israel doctors. Priceless. Israel's AI identifies threats faster than any system on earth. U.S. military is now integrating their technology into our own. Here's the bottom line. America gets billions of dollars in military research and development that has been developed in real combat situations for pennies on the dollar. Israel is the testing ground. They get attacked, they prove that it works in real time, and we get that technology for ourselves without having to lose one American life. We use Israel as our laboratory. That's priceless. Israel is our front line. And America gets that data without losing one soldier. What is that worth, Marjorie? With your ignorant self. How about exhibit number C? No, that's not C. Let's find C. Exhibit number C. Israel saves American soldiers by testing weapons for us. War is expensive in blood and bodies. The best way to win wars is to learn from someone else's battle before you fight your own. And that's what Israel does for America. Israel tests weapons in real combat, not in simulations, in real combat. When the U.S. military develops a new weapon system, it costs billions, years of testing, decades before it's available. But when Israel uses American-made weapons in combat, America gets real-time battlefield performance data, instant feedback on our strength and our weakness. They take our weapons and they go into battle and give us the data. What about the F-35 fighter jet? The most advanced fighter jet in the world, built by Lockheed Martin in Fort Worth, Texas. But before the U.S. military deployed it in large numbers, guess who tested it in actual combat? Israel against Iran and Syria. And guess what they discovered? They discovered that there was radar vulnerabilities. And they shared that data with our Pentagon. The Pentagon upgraded the U.S. F-35 based on Israel's combat experience. American pilots are safer today because Israel tested the F-35 in battle. Israel's been fighting in Gaza, Lebanon, West Bank. American soldiers come home alive because they learn from Israeli experience. Let's face it, America don't have much battle experience. We've not had battles in a long time. If Israel did not exist as our ally, we would have to test weapons in our own wars, learn tactics from our own dead soldiers, deploy U.S. troops to the Middle East permanently. Israel is our crash test dummy. How much is that worth, America? $3.5 billion? If you want to stop sending money to Israel, you're signing your children's draft papers. Is anybody hearing me tonight? Does anybody understand? Is anybody learning anything? Kimberly Chris is. Thank you. Let's go to exhibit number D. Israel stabilizes our enemies. What happens if Israel was to fall? Have you ever thought about it? Who picks up the slack? Who stops Iran? Who confronts Hezbollah? Who keeps Hamas from expanding? America. That's who. Simple math. If Israel collapses, America sends 50,000 plus troops to the Middle East. I want to ask all of you Americans a question tonight. Is that not worth $3 billion? Not to send 50,000 of our sons over there? I'll write the check if I had it. Here. You want? Yes. What do we not get about this? If Israel holds, America stays home. So what's the smart thing for us to do? Send them the money to hold. Thank you, Melinda Gamblin. I hate to tell all of you this. America first, U.S., the Israel intelligence is the best in the world. You want to put America first? Ally with Israel. Let's look at the enemies that Israel keeps busy. Iran. The only nation standing in Iran's way is Israel. Without Israel, America would have to do all of that. Do you want American troops in Iran? Do you want American pilots bombing Tehran? Do you want American soldiers fighting in Syria? Israel does it so we don't have to. Write them the lowdown check, Marjorie. And get some education before you talk. What about Hezbollah? They've got 150,000 plus rockets. Who keeps Hezbollah in check? Israel. They fought 3 wars with Hezbollah, preventing them from destabilizing the whole region. Without Israel, American forces would have to confront Hezbollah directly. Write the check, Marjorie. What about Hamas? Who prevents Hamas from overrunning the region? Israel. Without Israel, American troops would be deployed to Gaza, the West Bank, the Sinai. So let's do the numbers. Supporting Israel, $3.8 billion a year, less than 1% of our budget. Or deploy U.S. troops to Israel for $100 billion a year, plus thousands of dead bodies. That you don't even have to think about that, Marjorie. You want to save money, America? Keep spending money with Israel. You want to save money? You want to put America first? Partner with Israel. Let's go to the next exhibit. Exhibit number E. Israel's intelligence saves American lives. Do you know how many terror attacks on America did not happen? Flights that did not explode, subways that did not blow up, buildings that did not collapse because Israel intelligence stopped them. Israel's intelligence network is unmatched, my fellow American. Mossad, Shin Bet, Unit 8200. These agencies monitor terror networks in real time. Don't you want them for a friend? They track financial flow from terrorism. They intercept communications between terrorists. They identify threats before they become attacked. And they share all of that with the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Security, NSA. Do you know why? They need our money. And we need their intelligence. Let me give you a specific example that nobody told you about. The 2006 transatlantic aircraft plot. British and American intelligence working with Israel stopped a plot to blow up 10 airplanes over the Atlantic Ocean, American airplanes using liquid explosives. I want you to know this. 3 100,000 plus people, Americans and British, have died in one night without Israel. How much is that worth? Israel identified the plot. Yeah, let's write them a check. What about the Iranian cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure? Israel's Unit 8200 identified Iranian hackers that were targeting U.S. power grids, U.S. financial systems, and water treatment facilities. What did Israel do? They shared that with U.S. Cyber Command and stopped those attacks. How much do you not want to send them marjorie? Margarine? That's about what Marjorie's like. Margarine, greasy, slipping and sliding between loyalties. What about the ISIS plot in Europe and America? It was in Israel intelligence that provided hundreds of tips about ISIS operations planning to attack U.S. and Europe. And they were stopped before you ever heard about them because of Israel. The bottom line, Israel sees threats before anybody else does. They operate in Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, the West Bank, Iraq, Yemen, places where U.S. intelligence has limited access. If you cut off Israel, you blind America. And that's not worth $3.8 billion a year. Let's go to the next exhibit in this court case. Exhibit F. Israel is our only stable ally in a region full of dictators. Let's play a game. Let's play a game. Wake up. Come on. Let's play a game tonight. I want you to name one Middle Eastern country, one nation in the Middle East that surrounds Israel, where a woman can drive without a male companion, where a woman can vote with no restrictions. Name me one. Where women do not need a male approval to travel, work, or marry. Where even LGBTQ individuals will not be murdered or executed or imprisoned because of their sexuality. Name me one. Name me one nation where Christians can build churches and evangelize openly. Anywhere but Israel. Name it. Where atheists can publicly declare their belief without being executed. Where the press can criticize the government without being killed. Where political opposition parties can exist and campaign freely. Where independent courts can rule against the government. Where women serve as judges, diplomats, military commanders. Where citizens can sue their own government and win. Name me one nation around Israel where you can do that. Go ahead, I'll wait. There isn't one. Not one. Whereas in Israel, they have democratic elections, free press, independent judiciary, religious freedom for all, women's rights are protected, even gay rights are protected. Whereas Saudi Arabia, absolute monarchy, no elections. Iran, Syria, Lebanon. We don't support Israel because they're perfect. We support them because they're the only nation in the region that shares our values. What is so difficult about that? What? I don't understand what's so difficult about that. And finally, Exhibit G. Let me upload it real quick. I forgot to upload Exhibit G, but this is a good one. Exhibit G, if we can get it up. Trying to find it. Give me 1 second, my friend. I don't have Exhibit G. All right, I'll read it to you on my end. The U.S. federal budget is $6.7 trillion. U.S. foreign aid, $50 billion. Did you hear that? $50 billion. Of our budget is $50 billion. Of that, Israel, our greatest ally, gets $3 billion. Do you know what percentage that is of our budget? 0.056%. Let me say that again. 0.056%. Less than half of 1%. No, 1/10 of 1%. Now let's compare that to Ukraine. $75 billion. Yeah, you heard me right. Wake up, America. Screaming about Israel. Bunch of dummies. Ukraine, $75 billion. Afghanistan, are you ready? $2.3 trillion. You heard me right. Afghanistan, $2.3 trillion. Iraq, $1.1 trillion. COVID-19, waste and fraud, $200 billion. Domestic waste every year, $500 billion. But Israel, $3.8 billion is where you want to draw the line. That's where you suddenly discovered fiscal responsibility, Marjorie. Let's break it down even further, shall we? In 2024, Ukraine got $24 billion. Egypt, $1.4 billion, a military dictatorship. Israel, $3.8 billion. Jordan, $1.7 billion. Afghanistan, $1.3 billion. We give money to countries with no democracy, women cannot vote, and they hate America. But Israel, our only stable ally, is the problem? Honey, there's demons loose. It ain't got nothing to do with money. You heard me? You heard me? Ain't got nothing to do with money, honey. It goes deeper. You need to watch my teaching. The watchers have returned, and they hate covenant Israel, and they speak through the mouth of Jezebel. If you're mad about wasteful spending and you target Israel, you're not fiscally responsible. You're selectively deranged. You're not a fiscal conservative. You're spiritually confused. Ladies and gentlemen, I've given you the facts tonight. Undeniable. Nobody can debate me. I've given you 7 exhibits, 7 ironclad reasons, 7 truths that the anti-Israel crowd cannot touch. All they can do is destroy me now, because I tell you the truth. Supporting Israel is not charity. It's not weakness. It's not America last. Supporting Israel is protecting American jobs, advancing American technology, saving American soldiers, preventing American wars, defending American security, upholding American values, and spending less than 1% of our budget to accomplish all of that. If you want to stop supporting Israel, you're not saving America, you're sabotaging it. That's why Donald Trump will not abandon them. Trump didn't leave MAGA. MAGA's left him. The moment he stood with Israel unapologetically, without hesitation, without political calculation, the carnal camp peeled away. Why? Because covenant people understand the motive. When Yahweh marks a nation, men will divide themselves. Trump aligned with Israel. The others are aligning with algorithms. And that's the difference. If I wanted my show to take off tonight to another level, I would turn on Israel. That's where the algorithm is algorating right there. There's something happening in this AI world, There's something feeding the algorithm. It's all connected to the root. This is not new. Genesis 12:3 says, I will bless those that bless you. Whoever curses you, I will curse. That was not a suggestion. That was a covenant oath that has never been taken away from the natural descendants of Abraham. Yes, Christians have been invited to be grafted into that covenant. And one day, the natural descendants will all come back and join them. Their covenant has never disappeared. You listen to me. Every world empire that disregarded Genesis 12:3, every one of them fell while the Jewish people still stand. Pharaoh enslaved Israel, cursed Israel, and Egypt drowned. Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar destroyed Jerusalem. Babylon fell shortly after. Rome destroyed their temple, and Rome collapsed. Spain expelled all their Jews in 1492. They lost their empire in less than 100 years. Nazi Germany attempted to exterminate the Jewish people, but Germany was destroyed, divided, and occupied. The Soviet Union persecuted Jews, forbade their immigration, aligned with Israel's enemies. The Soviet Union collapsed. Every empire that turned against Israel has crumbled. Not some, all of them. I want to make it crystal clear tonight. We're not wasting anything by blessing Israel. Carnal minds will never see that covenant. Do you know why America's so blessed? Have you ever stopped and thought about it? In 200 years, we became the most blessed people in the world. We won the Revolutionary War. A militia of farmers and shopkeepers defeated the greatest empire on earth. Why? Because the lost tribes of Israel needed a home that would protect Judah, their brother. I could go on and on and on. My notes are endless tonight. America is powerful because it protects Israel. America, don't ever turn your back on Israel. Ever, 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 ever. Now, my time is gone. My time is gone tonight. My time is gone. But there's so much more I want to say. So much more I want to say tonight. So much more I feel like God's put it on my heart. America, don't ever turn your back on Israel. God made a covenant with them. And the only way that covenant fails is if God fails. And if you serve a God that breaks a covenant, I don't want to serve your God. He made a covenant with Abraham's seed forever. And that seed, oh yes, it was Christ. And guess who's coming back into Christ? Every Israelite, every Jew, they're all coming to Christ. And anyone that cursed them while they were in exile will bear the curse of every world empire. You don't have to believe it. Watch. You're hearing the voice of truth tonight. You're hearing the voice of the end time prophet of God. You're hearing the voice of truth. Don't turn on the covenant nation that God made a covenant with. You're hearing the voice, the end time voice. You're hearing truth tonight. Some people say Israel has too much influence in American politics. Let's look at that claim. If Israel has too much influence, why are they constantly condemned in the United Nations? Why does the international community pressure them to concede while giving terrorists a free pass? America universities host Israel Apartheid Week, but never Iran Theocracy Week. If Israel has too much influence, they wouldn't be the most condemned nation at the UN. If Israel had too much influence, they wouldn't face constant pressure to divide their land. If Israel had too much influence, American college campuses wouldn't be overrun with anti-Israel propaganda. I could go on and on and on. My friend, Trump is not on trial. Israel's not on trial. Even America's not on trial. Right now, the hearts of people are on trial. The covenant still stands. This is a battle between truth and trend, covenant and carnality, scripture and sensation, history and hashtags. And it's playing out in real time before your eyes, on your news feed, in your churches, in your political movement. But hear me, the remnant will always stand with the covenant people of God. Not because it's popular, not because it's easy, not because it's trendy, because it's true. The remnant sees what's happening. We recognize that ancient snake. We recognize the tail of the serpent. The remnant discerns the moment we're living in. The remnant knows the dividing line. And the dividing line tonight is spelled with 6 letters, Israel. So let the influencers defect if they want to. Let the trend chasers wander like margarine. Let the carnal-minded follow the algorithm, but the remnant will stand. The remnant will not bow to algorithm or popular opinion. The remnant will not trade covenant for clicks. The remnant will not abandon Israel because it's politically convenient, because the remnant knows Yahweh is watching. The apple of his eye. History is recording, and eternity will judge. Here's my final word tonight. If you stand with Israel, you stand with Yahweh's covenant. If you stand with Yahweh's covenant, you stand with blessing, America. If you stand with blessing, you'll never stand alone. But if you abandon Israel to chase these trends, you've chosen carnality over covenant. If you abandon covenant, you abandon those blessings, America. And if you abandon blessing, you will reap the consequences. Not because I say so, but because history proves it. Every empire that cursed Israel fell. Every nation that blessed Israel rose. That's not a theory. That's a fact. And America, our beloved, blessed, supernaturally favored America, is standing at a crossroads. Will we continue to honor that covenant, or will we abandon it for algorithm? Will we stand with Israel, or will we stand with the mob? Will we walk by covenant or carnality? The choice is ours, but the consequences are God's. The evidence has been presented tonight. The verdict is clear. Truth stands with Israel. Covenant stands with Israel. Yahweh stands with Israel. And those that stand with him will never, ever be ashamed. So to Marjorie, Candace, Nick, Carlton, and all the rest that choose trend over truth, you made your choice. History will judge it. But to the remnant, to those of you that see the battle beneath the surface, stand firm tonight. Stand strong. Stand in the covenant. Because the dividing line tonight is not political. It's prophetic. And the word that divides is Israel. Good night, America.
You can't find it in a bottle. You can't find it in a pill. The joy I found on Calvary's hill. You can't find it in a club honky-tonk bar. You'll only find it on your knees, crying, help me, Lord. Prodigal son, return back home. Down that long road where you roam, the Father is waiting. Come back home, be baptized in His name, never more to roam.
Oh yes.
Try as you might, you'll only fail. Chasing joy down a broken trail. You'll search high and low, you'll wander and roam, but at the end of the day, find the road that leads home. Prodigal son, return back home from that long road where you roam. The Father is waiting. Return back home, be baptized in His name, never more to roam. Prodigal son, return back home from that long road where you roam. The Father is waiting. Return back home, be baptized in His name, never more to roam.